Welcome to this Biomechanics Q&A. Each Wednesday during lockdown, I am answering any questions around biomechanics, movement, and anything related to it. Hi, Steph. And I'm just trying to get us live over on Facebook and Instagram. I'm trying to juggle everything. I'm not sure why it's not allowing me to go live on Facebook. I've obviously not clicked something. I can see Steph on all platforms. Right, let me, bear with me guys, whilst I adjust. Let's pin that video up. And then obviously, Steph, if you've got any questions, let me know. Instagram. If you guys have got any questions, let me know. I have got a question, but it's a loaded one that will, I think, give me weight to really kind of talk about a whole bunch of stuff that's biomechanics, movement and exercise related. I've got no idea why it's not letting me post on Facebook for some reason. I don't know why. So yeah, post your questions. Let me know. Hi there, Instagram. How you doing? Yeah, forgive me, Instagram. I'm over on Zoom and Facebook, or I'm trying to get onto Facebook. I'm not sure it's going to work today, sadly. So I might just lose that. So what I'd like you to do, the theme of this biomechanics Q&A is posture and confidence, because they're both quite closely linked, obviously. I'm going to take that off and go back over to Zoom. So posture is a big deal in terms of, it's a big hot topic, isn't it? Posture biomechanics, biomechanics of movement or not moving when it comes to posture. And I know some of my colleagues, Tom, for example, Tom Waldron, he talks quite a lot about posture, what it is, what it isn't. And so to really dive into that, what makes a good posture? Brilliant question. You see, now that's what we're after. So Instagram, if you've got any questions around posture and confidence, or posture or confidence, I think they do kind of inevitably go together, right? So any questions around them? So Steph's asking what makes a good posture, and we're definitely going to talk about that. I'm just going to allow people to log in, check in. Just going to get rid of that over there, and kind of common problems, I guess, when we talk about posture. So what I'm going to endeavour to do is define what posture is, so that we can then talk about it in relation to any questions that might come in. Just have a little look. Hi there, Marina. You're very welcome. So any questions, Marina? Maggie, Denise, Justin, Sandy, Niall. Hi, Niall. Tom. So, and then we've got Jane come in. How you doing, Jane? I can't get live on Facebook, guys. I'm so sorry. If you're on Facebook, jump onto the Instagram page. For some reason, it ain't working. So I'm going to stop that one and stop trying to get on there because it's just not working. So posture. Now, a friend of mine on Instagram asked me the question. So Jake's asking about, he said he has bad posture while sitting at a desk, slouching at work. And one of the things that he thinks from his question to me that contributes to his bad posture is low self-confidence. And he finds that if he doesn't get into the gym sort of regularly, or at times when he's not able to go to the gym, he gets what he calls flare-ups in his trapezius or supraspinatus. So he obviously knows a little bit about his anatomy. So I've got my friend here because my skeleton is packed away just now. So I just thought we'd get the shoulder in to talk the relevance of shoulder biomechanics, bit of spine biomechanics to posture, so that we can see if we can't help Jake with his dilemma about flare-ups in traps supraspinatus, the confidence issue, of course, and then posture, that's sort of sitting at a desk. So if anyone out there, do any of you ever find yourself sitting at a desk? Yes, probably most of us these days, particularly over the last, 10 months or whatever, we've been in lockdown, in and out of lockdown, bent over our phones, laptops, iPads, TV screens. Even if we're bouncing around for some live sessions with clients one-to-one or in groups, there are periods of time where we're going to be in a posture where the neck is in flexion, so the extensors are loaded. Maybe the spine is in some degree of thoracic flexion, and maybe even lumbar flexion where you sit and the pelvis is kind of tipping back and under. So understanding what that means to us, hi there, Harm, what that means to us as coaches, trainers, but also to our clients like Jake, how do we help them understand what posture is, how it can be influenced, and how we can both understand how it influences our body negatively and positively. Because then if there's a problem stemming from posture, I'm going to come to that in a moment to elaborate, then we might be able to identify, if we can identify what's causing it, maybe we can identify routes to solving problems. So I'm going to come back and use Jake as the example, purely because that's where the theme of this Q&A has stemmed from. And I do think this could go off in all sorts of directions. You can come over the, okay, thanks Marina. So, posture, what is it? And can we have a bad posture and a good posture? So I'm going to start there for anybody out there listening. If this is going to be helpful to you, just settle in. We're going to be here for about 40 minutes or so now. And in terms of defining posture, posture is a position of the body. So any position you put your body into is effectively a posture. So we could talk about an upright posture, or we could talk about a slouching posture, as in Jake's example. And some people may think that upright is a good posture and slouching is a bad posture. And they may be, but I want to just challenge that idea for a moment in terms of your biomechanics or your client's biomechanics and what that means. We've got my little mascot in the background. So what would deem a good posture and what's a bad posture? Because posture, by definition, is just a position. So to define good and bad posture, I think we need to understand what positioning of the body is detrimental and what positioning has a positive response or a good response. So I think in true reality, the only bad posture or postures that there are the ones that we hold under tension for any length of time. So what do I mean by that? So sitting, for example, might be deemed a bad posture, when actually, well, it's not necessarily. If you need to sit, give your legs a bit of a rest, have your dinner, and then move on. And that is because it's a short period of time. So time or variables is probably what makes something bad or detrimental. So sitting for a short period of time, nothing wrong with it. Sitting we could define in different ways. Sitting on your haunches is going to be different use of your joints through your ankle, knee and hip ranges versus sitting every single time you sit with 90 degrees at the hip, for example, 90 degrees of hip flexion. So posture is, we should be careful about using the terms good and bad posture, because there's nothing wrong with sitting. You should be able to have, she says standing. So this is a sit-stand desk, by the way. So I can take you down to proxy height. It's looking at me strangely. So that then what I can do whilst I'm speaking to you is I can actually squat on my haunches. So I'm down on sitting on my heels. And then if I get a little bit stiff or uncomfortable, I can just bring it up, and I could bring it up to a height where I might have a stool or a chair. I've got a stool underneath, and I could sit here and work for a while. Or then I can take it up to where I was before. So what I'm suggesting to you is no posture is a bad one if you are moving in and out of them, varying them on a regular basis. However, if Jake, for example, is sitting at his desk in this posture for several hours without moving too much, just tapping the fingers on a keyboard, which again, the nervous system's like with some pressure on the pathway of the median nerve and down to the carpal tunnel. All of that kind of static, kind of little tiny dexterous movements, the body is not really going to enjoy. On the odd occasion, every so often, periodically, fine. Day in, day out, for weeks, months, years, that's where we're going to get initially probably just a little bit of an ache. Over time, something known as ligamentous creep, which is where the ligaments creep. I don't know if you can see because of my hood. The ligaments creep and they almost adapt to that posture, so that when you stand up, you feel stiff and you start to lose the capacity for spinal extension or bringing yourself back upright. You start to become used to or familiar. Your body, your neural system, your ligaments, the joints become stiffer. So, and even standing. So if I was to stand on my feet all day, maybe like a shop assistant or, somebody who is a teacher, maybe, I don't know, different professionals out there. If you have a standing job, the nature of standing all day, certainly without too much movement, so standing rather than walking, you don't get that pump action from the soleus through walking, so it's different. And that kind of nice torsal kind of sling through the body. So just a standing job, you start to feel that gravity is pulling all your inner kind of fluids down, your feet swell up a bit. And again, really not ideal. So what makes a bad posture? What makes a good posture? In truth, if posture is purely a position of the body, a bad posture is one that you stay in for long periods of time, repeatedly, over and over and over again, certainly without doing anything about it. Good posture is lots of variations of posture, moving in and out of them. You'll see how I'm a fidget pants. Those of you who watch my social media will know that I never stop moving. And that constant dynamic nature of our human biomechanics is probably what I would define as good posture, rather than a single bad posture or a single good posture. I don't think there are any, unless you went into the realms of force production. So that might be where you have a client with a bar, a Olympic bar on the back with kilos on either side, and then the stacking of the vertebrae as an example. If you were in flexion with the bar on the back, that could be deemed a bad posture due to the compressive force from the bar down the spine, which is kind of not stacked up nicely for an even load anteriorly and posteriorly or laterally even. That could be deemed a bad posture. And that's generally what we do as movement coaches and practitioners, is we coach positioning in terms of exercise. So I hope that makes sense. So Steph, hopefully I answered that question for you. Let me just come through because I saw some posting here from A good posture would be one that benefits the body the most. Sitting can be good posture for body and mind, yes, when it needs to rest and recuperate, 100%. And then there's definition of sitting, isn't there, Harm? Are you sitting cross-legged on the floor? Are you sitting on your haunches, like heels down, bottom on the calves? Are you sitting on a chair with the knees and hips at 90 degrees? Are you sitting in all of these at different periods of time? And the idea is, it's that old saying, if you don't use it, you will lose it. So we want to keep a nicely moving joints, nice ranges, nice fluidity to our movement quality. Then we need to kind of continuously use those positions, moves, and joint angles, etc. Afnan, I'm a personal trainer and would love to do biomechanics. Fantastic, you're in the right place. I want to be a biomechanics specialist. In which country is it available, and what is the cost and time taken to complete? So that's a huge question. I mean, I'm in the UK, but we have got online content. If you want to head over to www.biomechanics.education.com, click on workshops. First drop down will take you to 2 pages, which we are consistently adding now online workshops around biomechanics. I've just launched the first pelvis biomechanics video, which is all about the bones and the muscles of the pelvis. So if you want to go on, you can go and find that one. And there are some free ones on there as well, Afnan, so you can go and have a look there. But just to come back to the theme of this post, this video, this Q&A, and Jake's question. So he asked about posture, bad posture. So I think we've covered bad, good posture there. Hopefully, Jake can let me know. Low self-confidence. So in terms of working as a personal trainer, a movement coach, strength and conditioning coach, Pilates teacher, yoga teacher, even as a manual therapist, a huge part of our clients' goal setting, where if we go through all of the goals a client ever comes to you for, and I know I've mentioned this in previous Q&As previously, the 5 Whys by Simon Sinek, where you really want to perform a really great consultation formation where you're working out what does the client really want. So if Jake's my client, poor posture, slouching, low confidence, he's stated that very clearly, but often they don't say low self-confidence. Often they'll say, I want to lose a bit of weight, I want to be stronger, I'd like to tone up, or I'm going to be running, I want to run a half marathon or a 5K even. And if you really get into the whys of why do they want to do each of those things, they all boil down to, or why they want our help to achieve those, they all boil down to seeking out ways to feel confident. Confident about wearing a little black dress, confident about how they feel about their physical self, how they are within their own body, confidence about reaching the end of a half marathon, confidence about experiencing a 5K without having sore knees. So it all boils right down to, there's going to be emotional things there, but this is just a short Q&A, which is why I just want to touch on it briefly. But certainly when it comes to confidence, when our clients understand what the problem is, by definition, good posture, bad posture, they can start to develop an understanding, so that as we take them on the journey of hopefully empowering them to take responsibility for their body, and we coach them on diet or movement and techniques, they start to build up an inner confidence along with all the physiological changes that occur, i.e. faster metabolism, loss of body fat, stronger muscles, denser muscles, stronger joints. That starts to increase their confidence both inwardly and then outwardly, which would then contribute to maybe standing taller, because it isn't just necessarily a physical, a biomechanical issue. Posture can relate, of course, to emotion, even the weather. When it rains, what do? Your shoulders go up. I've got no idea why. Maybe if you've got a very small hood and you're trying to hold your hood up, but why do your shoulders go up when it rains? Maybe because you're cold and you're trying to bring the body in from out in the rain under an umbrella. I don't know. I don't know why, but we have a physiological response to the cold, the weather, being under an umbrella, or feeling that we are uncomfortable. So all of these can contribute to our posture. It doesn't mean that that is a bad posture. It might be the way we stay dry under a small umbrella. I don't know. Maybe that's one of the contributions. So confidence is much bigger than just simply posture, but they do go hand in hand. So understanding what is causing a postural issue, and what I mean by that is not the posture, but in Jake's case, he's getting a flare-up in the traps and the supraspinatus. So I'm going to assume what he means by that is discomfort, because he's not giving me any more detail other than a flare-up. So if you get discomfort in this area, that can be a cause of low confidence and like sort of feeling like, oh, you know, you close off the slightly fetal position, combined with sitting at the desk, which he's doing at work, and then not going to the gym and moving his shoulders around, giving him symptoms that then become a result of a posture. So does that make sense? So they're kind of roundabout way going backwards to go forwards. We are, yes, doing online courses. So if you head on over to biomechanics.education.com website, click on workshops, then you'll find out online workshops there. So then to come down to Jake's flare-ups, just to talk a little bit about the biomechanics of his shoulder, maybe. Now, I've not met Jake, we're Insta friends, but just to sort of try and talk around, again, I'm basing this on assumption because he didn't give me any more detail. But if we think about so we've got my little shoulder here. Now, it's not great. I'm not sure that clavicle should be in that position around there. Let's try and do that to see if you can see. So obviously we've got the clavicle, we've got the scapula, we've got the humerus, and then we've got the ball and socket joint in here. And so what we're trying to imagine is you've got the AC joint where the acromion and the clavicle meet. And we're trying to imagine the trapezius muscle in here, in Jake, and then the supraspinatus, which also sits into that area here. And supraspinatus is primarily involved in 30 degrees of shoulder abduction, and the upper trapezius muscle is involved in a whole stack of things. So the upper traps will lift the scapula, laterally flex the neck. If you contract them both at the same time, they will assist cervical extension, and individually they will rotate the head away from the one that's contracting. So there's a whole series of movements involved in trapezius and supraspinatus. Now, another thing for Jake to consider when he's watching this back, hopefully, or if he's already watching, if you are experiencing symptoms in these areas, it may or may not be those specific muscles. So I don't know if you've been tested. I think it would be quite hard to be definitive other than pressing them and around that area. But there are other muscles that could be involved around these areas, levator scapulae, scalenes, etc., etc. So if we think in movements and we think about what these muscles do in relation to Jake's arms, then, and he's getting a flare up, maybe it's when he's moving his arm or his shoulder is where it's happening. So it could be relating to what he's doing at work, and it sounds like movement makes him feel better, which is great. That's a big green flag for movement, because it's when he's not going to the gym that he starts to get these flare-ups. The problem is finding a solution that is long-term, even if he's sitting at a desk. And so, Jake, I've got some start points for you. They're just start points, and you can do them sitting at your desk. So we like techniques that are super simple to fit into our lifestyles, or our clients do, because even while we're locked down, some individuals are really busy. They may be homeschooling, they may have family members, they may be looking after a whole bunch of family or friends or caring for others. They may have 2 or 3 jobs because they've lost some income, so they're doing shelf stacking and stuff in between. So we've got to try and find out ways to support our clients in improving their movement quality and variability, even when the job requires them to sit at a desk for long periods of time. So I'm going to come up with hopefully some start points. However, I would like to set those with a caveat right up front, because I don't know Jake, I haven't assessed Jake, he's just given me this nugget of a paragraph that said, feels like he's got bad posture, desk job, because he's slouching, low self-confidence, flare-ups in the traps and the supraspinators when he doesn't train. That's all I know. So number one, prior to undertaking any new exercise, you should see a healthcare practitioner, either virtually like this, so they can evaluate you, or in person as and when that's appropriate. Because what we don't know through just typing in social media is an individual's professional qualifications, their status, their insurance remit, and it's very easy to just throw away advice that if an individual takes it and there are things that we don't know, it could potentially hit a red flag and make them worse. So we've got to understand symptoms, red flags, and everything else that goes with that. So it's unprofessional to purely give diagnostic advice without seeing somebody, going through a health consultation and everything else. So a big part, I thought that was Broxy, passive wind, I think it's the door squeaking. So what I'm putting together right now, it's live for you, Steph, you can access this, is an online safety net. So any professionals out there who would like fast, responsive, online help from an allied professional, that's a registered clinician, physiotherapist, osteopath, we have a safety net system online right now that can help you pass a client through that system and either clear them with a green flag to work with you in a written document that is part of your evidence of good practice, or it will highlight a red or amber flag where it is strongly recommended that you send your client to one of these online clinicians in advance just for a 30-minute consultation, which may result in them coming straight back to you with guidance from that clinician, or it may result in them recommending they need to see, they need A&E, or they need to go and actually see somebody in person or get a scan or something else. So it's a nice, swift, easy system that you can take advantage of. So without that in place for Jake, I need to repeat the caveat. What I'm going to recommend right now is only for individuals, no symptoms, perfectly well, perfectly healthy, who maybe just feel a bit stiff, uncomfortable, sitting at a desk, and are happy to go ahead. You take your own responsibility. I'm saying all of this. The exercise I'm going to teach you are so low grade, safe and simple, but even the safe nature of them, we need to be mindful of the way we coach. So I'm always trying to come from a place of integrity. So forgive me if I've just harped on for a little while, but it's really important to me to demonstrate anything I do publicly with good practice to ensure that people understand where I'm always coming from in the way I practice and the way I encourage my learners to practice when we study biomechanics and human movement. So, really simply, for anybody who's not experienced one of our special iMove 3D techniques, I'm going to take you through an iMove 3D technique that we call the 2020, but we're going to make it very specific to the neck or the upper trap area for Jake to see if we can't help him even whilst he's sitting at his desk. So if you are sitting or standing, looking at your screen right now, which you must be if you're listening to me, is there a way that you can sit your phone or your device so that you can have a go at this? If there is, have a go. If not, you can watch this back later and you can have a little go yourself. So let's focus on the upper traps just for a moment to make this make sense. So the 2020 technique is a research technique. There was some research done by Rebo Siskar. You can go and have a look online. It's called post-contraction sensory discharge. In my world, it's just the 2020, because we're going to use 20% effort and we're going to hold for 20 seconds and we're going to repeat that 4 times. So the idea is it's a static contraction to generate energy within the muscle that's low grade to really try and affect the muscle in the sense of improve the functionality of the upper traps and then therefore the neck and shoulders. So that if somebody feels stiff or tight or tensioned or achy, this may help, certainly over time, but maybe even in the early phase, to really ease that neck tension. So these are some of my favorites. So the actions of the upper traps, if you remember, are scapular elevation, and we'll go with neck flexion. So we'll go with these two just for now because they're the easiest ones to do. So if we take lateral neck flexion as one of the actions of your upper trapezius muscle, and we want to affect that muscle with a static contraction, low level, it's known as a muscle energy technique, because we're going to bring the origin and insertion together isometrically. So what you're going to do is the arm on the opposite side, you're going to bring over the head. So your hand is going to become your resistance point. And what we're going to do is the action of lateral neck flexion into the hand, but you're only going to use 20% effort from the neck muscle. So my hand is just stopping my head from moving, and we're going to hold it there with 20% effort only for 20 seconds. So what you'll notice is while I'm doing that, I've got a little bit of length in the muscle by tilting the head slightly away, trying to let that shoulder relax. And so that engagement, that low, subtle engagement of that upper trapezius muscle, that muscle energy technique, statically, low level, submaximal, hold for about 20 seconds, let it go, and then I'm going to switch to the other side. So then you could switch, do this with me. So we'll do for either or four. We're going to do 4 on each side. So same again, hand over the top, lift the head into the hand. This is a nice technique to affect that trapezius muscle. Now, anything that is involved in lateral neck flexion is going to be affected by this technique. So if there's anything else in there that you know about muscles that laterally flex the neck, then we could assume they're going to be involved as well. We then take it back over the other way, a bit of a hair flick in there, get some movement in, and we repeat. So you could easily coach this to a client online or face-to-face without any hands-on. The tricky bit is appreciating why 20% and what does 20% feel like. So I'm going to help you with that as we have a go. 20% or sub-maximal is what the research found. So sub-maximal is like obviously less than maximum. And if we're in that 50, 60%, it could be deemed still conditioning to some degree. Whereas if we get right down into that very low level engagement, we are stimulating to some degree the pathway and the spindles to affect the muscle, mind to muscle, brain to muscle, axon to muscle, whatever you want to call it, and ask the muscle, look, you can fully contract and relax. So that's kind of in a simple nutshell what we're doing here. I'm going to switch again. I've seen somebody that's posted in Instagram. So we're going to do a couple more on each side. Yeah, you can just watch it here. I'm going to post it here. And it's on Zoom. Be Complete Massage. So you can watch it back, my friend. Or just ping me a DM. And then I'll post it onto YouTube as well. We've got all the old Biomechanics Q&As are over on the YouTube channel. biomechanics.education.com, so you can go and have a look at all of the past ones. We did them all through the last lockdown, and this is, I think, the 3rd one this time around, 2nd or 3rd. So every Wednesday, 12 o'clock, and they always go onto the YouTube channel in the hope of helping. So is that 3? Yes. So last one, guys, and then I'm going to show you another way to do this. So if you think about any muscle or action in the body that you want to affect, and you do this technique in the same way on any muscle in the body, you can affect it with the same concept of creating better function within the muscle, better stimulation, better muscle, mind to muscle connection and pathways to improve the function in that area of the body. So lifting the head, and as a massage therapist, I'm going to assume you're a manual therapist, you could do this when you're back to hands-on, or if you're level 4, 5 and you are practicing right now, you could obviously do this. So you guys will have already been trained in these techniques. But for those who are not hands-on, can't be face-to-face, you can do this easily online. So this is my friend Jay. So there you go. So that's the technique. Now you may or may not feel any difference right now. I'm going to teach you another option to do this, another way of doing it, to hopefully help if you don't like that one, or if you want to just try a different way, or if you want to do both at the same time. So just check if any questions have come through based on that. You're very welcome. No problem at all. Anytime. So that is going to detension through the upper traps. And if you repeat that periodically, maybe when you're at the desk and you feel like your shoulders are creeping up, and by the way, there is a physiological reason why that happens, but we'll go into that in another Q&A if anyone reminds me. What we want to do is ease off the tension. So another function of the upper traps is, remember we talked about scapular elevation. So rather than this part of the trap pulling the head this way, which is what we've just done, this part might lift upwards. So we could use scapular elevation as the set point. Now I'm just going to have to move. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Let me just have a little look. So let's say I'm going to have to motion to this one. So what you could do is, if you're on a chair, is put your fingertips underneath the chair and then pull upwards, isometrically of course, to engage both scapular elevators, 20% effort, and hold for 20 seconds. So you could use the side of, I can't do it and show you at the same time, you could use the side of a table, here or here, under a chair. And a demonstration could be, doing one is just to lift that shoulder into my hand, but one wanted to show, and then do the other side like we did with the lateral neck flexion. But I just wanted to show you how you could do both at the same time, hands under your chair or table, and then lift up, hold with 20% effort in that direction, hold for 20 seconds. So again, that's probably quite a good one, because it's a time saver. So an example might be for Jake, right? You're watching, you're reading an email because you've been at work, your neck feels stiff, your shoulders are coming forwards, you're starting to feel tense, you're getting a flare up, stand up, hands under your table or your chair. So basically you're standing up out of hip flexion, so you're moving, and then use that muscle energy technique to pull upwards on the base of the chair or the table, hold for 20 seconds, and you can do that while you're reading an email. And you do that 4 times. So that's 20% effort, held for 20 seconds, 4 times throughout the day. So 4 reps and then 4 sets maybe throughout the day. So why the 20%? How do we work that out? So that's what the research says, is around about that 20% mark. And how do we know what 20% feels like? So if you were to coach this to a client, you might say, imagine pulling as hard as you can, 100%, really hard, this way, really pulling hard, half that, down to 50%, half it again, and then you're around about 20, 25%. It's subjective. But as long as it's that low level muscle energy technique, that contraction, that is where professionally for 16 years, I have had stunning success where stretching hasn't worked, where other techniques haven't worked, because it's more about the muscle messaging, the stimulation, and what we're addressing is the cause of the problem rather than masking it. So stretching sometimes has a short-term effect, that Golgi tendon reflex, and sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, but quite often long-term it doesn't, because it's not putting back that messaging. And so a muscle energy technique is the opposite of stretching. Stretching is origin and insertion getting away from each other. Muscle energy techniques, you're bringing the origin and insertion together. So another example of a muscle energy technique would be PNF, which we consider more as a combination of a contraction, static contraction, and a stretch, repeated. That one can be hard to do on yourself or for the client to do. And also the muscle contraction is higher. I think in most cases it's as hard as you can, or a high end. Whereas this one, if somebody's uncomfortable or risky, or you're just trying to have an easy thing you can do at your desk, at work, really simple, Jake, this is perfect for you. So you could combine the 2 moves. So here's a nice one. This is actually my favorite of the ones I've shown you. One hand over the top, lift the head into the hand, this hand under the seat. So you're effectively moving both ends of the upper trapezius, as we take that as the example. So you're bringing them together, 20%, hold for 20 seconds, 4 times, repeat on the other side. So if you've just joined in Instagram, you can watch this back later and see what we've been talking about since about 12 o'clock. So we've been going for about 40 minutes. So I'm hoping that that is helpful in terms of the original post, the original question, where Jake said, bad posture, desk jobs, slouching, low self-confidence, flare-ups in the upper traps and supraspinatus. Supraspinatus may be different, so I'm going to leave that one for you to work out. If it's a shoulder abductor, how could we use the same technique on the shoulder abductors? Same technique on shoulder abduction. So it's really simple. I like things simple. If you want biomechanics made simple in application to help your clients, that is what my entire purpose in being is all about. Because for me, not a fast learner, not academic, I had to find tactics over my 3 decades now in the industry to be able to retain information to help my clients. So the tips, tactics and tricks that I've developed are what I try and share with you guys to help you hopefully achieve some of the ways of retaining information and finding it useful, and then application. In application with the real human, not the skeleton, with real clients, both online, face-to-face without hands-on, and of course our big flagship training, which is the Biomechanics Coach Diploma, which is hands-on and is coming back hopefully early next year. But you can begin right now. We have got a stack of online products, low cost, some of them are free. So if you head on over to biomechanicseducation.com, I'll say this again, click workshops online and you'll see a couple of pages, just have a little stroll through them. Some are online, some feed into our face-to-face workshops. You'll see the ones that are online. If it hasn't got a price on it, it's free. Grab it, stick it in your basket. If you have any further questions, I'm going to be back here next Wednesday, same time. These videos are all on the YouTube channel. Head on over there. If you subscribe to the Biomechanics Education YouTube channel, every time I upload something, you will get notified. And I'm adding stuff all the time. There's I Move Freely classes, there's the squat project, there's obviously all of these biomechanics Q&As over the whole since March. We've done these. We had a little break when we came back out, but I'm back here next week. But if you have a tricky client, a challenge by the online process in helping people move better, if you have a question specifically about movement, biomechanics, exercise, communication, and all your business around that, ping me a message, let me know. You can email me, rachel@biomechanics.education.com, or you can message on Instagram @biomechanics_education. I can't say it all fast enough. I need like a little scrolling thing coming up like on the screen. Maybe I can add that later when I learn how to do it. So let me know your questions and I will personalize a biomechanics Q&A to you, and you can join in and interact with me live, or I can design a whole theme around your questions. So just let me know and I'll see you here next time. Listen, stay safe and be kind. Take care. Thanks for coming. And over there, Jane, Steph, see you soon.